Good evening, my Benny Bear, Benny Franks, Benjamin. I don't know what you like to go by nowadays. But you said you want to learn the intro to Don't Cry. So, I'm going to teach you how to learn any song you want. And I'm going to use this song to show you. So, the first thing you need to know is what key is the song in? You know what key the song is because you have to identify the home note. So most of the time when you're listening to a song, you can hum along with it and you kind of intuitively understand where what you would call the home note. It's in music theory it's called the tonic. But music is the way it is. The human ear wants to hear what it wants to hear. So we designed music theory around, we know what sounded good to us, and over time we developed rules to describe that in a written language format, which is what we now call music theory. So the rules arose out of what naturally existed and what we thought sounded good to begin with. So what I'm trying to say is that the human ear in the Western music system, it's going to hear that naturally because it's just nature, you know, like when you look at the sunset, you're like, oh, that's beautiful. When you eat chicken that's really juicy and salty, your tongue says, oh, that's delicious. And when you hear music that sounds a certain way, you say, that sounds beautiful. And, oh, by the way, that sounds like the home note. So you should be able to pick out the home note in any song that you want to learn. And when you figure out that note, you just pluck around on the guitar, on the piano, or the guitar, and try to identify the name of that home note. Now, in Don't Cry, the song goes like this. You'd say to yourself, what is the home note? Probably hum that note. Well, let me go over to the piano and say hum, 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 hum. Hum. Oh, there it is. Well, what is that note? Then you have to know what the notes are on the keyboard, which, if you don't know, they're very easy to learn. If you just identify where the C is on the keyboard. Oh, dang it. I just unplugged my little light fixturizer, or something's going on with this thing. Bummer, man. Yeah, I think this thing's toast. All right, well, if you go to a keyboard, this is C. This note here, there's these two black keys that are coupled together, and the one that's immediately to the left of that is C. The one that's in the middle of the keyboard is middle C, but it's C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So all you have to know is where the C note is. And if you know what note is your home note, then you can just count up. Well, that's C, B, A. Okay, so we know that the home note for Don't Cry is A. All right, so that's the first step. You have to identify the key. The home note tells you what key the song is in. Okay, next step is you have to learn what the chord progression is. And with your power chords that you know, you can find an A power chord. Da, 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 da. You can just play power chords, you know, to create a close approximation for that song. Talk to me softly, there's, wait. Talk to me softly, there's something in your eye. Yeah, C. Talk to me softly, there's something in your eyes. So that's A, D, G, and C. So you can figure out what the chords are with what little music theory you have just by playing power chords until it sounds right. Talk to me softly, and then you can identify the names of those power chords. And then you can, from there, so once you have the names of the chords, you can either play those chords with what you know using power chords, or in your case, since you want to learn the introduction to Don't Cry, you would go and learn to play those chords the same way they're being played on the record. In order to do that, you have to know a little bit about guitar. A lot of times, most of the time, for pretty much every song, you can get on YouTube and find a tutorial. But the problem with those tutorials a lot of times, like I said in the past, is they just kind of throw like, here's, play this note on this fret on this string. And they're just kind of, you're almost like a marionette, you know, you're just following instructions. You don't know what you're doing or why you're doing it. And I've never been the kind of guy that just wants to learn by rote. I want to learn what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. Because once you spend time learning how to do something, then you take that knowledge and you build on it for the next thing, you know? You're not then trying to start over, okay, well, now I need to learn the solo to the song, so I'm just going to memorize all these little spots on the guitar. Every time you learn a song, the rhythm part or the solo part for a song, you're just starting over from scratch, learning how to play that thing by just memorizing that spot on the guitar. That's where that starts, and then I have to do in this pattern, and it's really just a terrible way to become a guitar player. So I recommend that you learn the music theory and learn the language so that you can be more fluent and have a command of this. But anyway, the point is, if you want to learn more than just how to play power chords that sound like they're in the right place with the right notes, then you have to learn more music theory and more of the vocabulary of the guitar fretboard. But you can get there by going through this process. Identify the home note, the tonic, identify the chords, and then specifically identify where they're being played on the guitar note fretboard and the rhythm that they're playing in and the chord voicings that they're playing in. For instance, you can play an A minor here, and you can play an A minor here. Nope, that's sorry. So there's many different ways all over the guitar to play the same chord. So you want to make sure you're playing it in relatively in the same kind of voicing, in the same place on the guitar that you're hearing it on the record. And that takes a little more knowledge and a little more doing to get there. But it's kind of counterintuitive what I said earlier, because you kind of have to start just learning things by rote. But don't just stop there, you know, learn as much as you can about the theory and the language, because then you'll have that knowledge to build on for the next thing you want to learn. You're not just learning by rote. So you kind of start out learning by rote, but if you dig into what's happening and how it all works, then you can take that knowledge and use it to learn other songs without having to learn them by rote first. But when you're starting out, you do have to kind of learn some things by rote. So for this song, for the first two measures, you have A minor and then D minor. So the A minor chord is, you put your index finger on the first fret of the second string, put your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, and then you put your ring finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. So you have this shape right here, and I'll send you a picture of a diagram of what it looks like. It's easy a lot of times to see a diagram on paper and then be able to kind of just recreate the shape with your fingers on the fretboard. It's harder to see it like this because everything's covered up, the strings are covered up. So the diagram, the chord diagram, will help you a lot. But it's very easy to just Google this too. A minor chord on the guitar. So learn your A minor, and then learn your D minor, which is pretty easy. Now, anytime you're learning chords, I would suggest, or learning a chord progression, I would suggest that you learn how to make a fluid path from one chord to the next in a way that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so you're not just picking up your whole hand and setting it down and you're kind of just randomly firing at things. To go from A minor to D minor, you slip this finger down, and then you slip this finger down and slip it up a fret, and then you slip this finger down. So you go from here and you kind of move down, but also spread out a little bit. But these two, this finger just goes down one string. This finger goes down 2 strings. This finger goes down, I'm sorry, the middle finger just goes down 1 string. So these both go down just 1 string like this. And then the index finger goes down a string, but it slips up. It slides up 1 fret. So the way it looks going from A minor to D minor is, and it feels pretty natural once you get it under your fingers. Because all you're doing is you're just taking these 2 fingers and sliding them down a string, and then this finger has the most to do because it slides down a string but up a fret. But this one's pretty easy. It's fairly natural once you learn how to do it. But if you can learn this chord progression, just do that 1,000 times, okay? I'm not kidding. You know, do it like 250 times a day or 200 times a day, Monday through Friday. Because just getting it, repeating it over and over. You've learned this in baseball 100 times. Throwing the ball, batting, fielding, running a certain play. You just have to repeat it slowly and accurately until it starts to become second nature, and then you can start speeding it up. And then you can kind of take control of how fast you want to do it. But you got to start somewhere, right? So to start from 0, you just do this, and then literally 1 finger at a time. I would suggest start with your ring finger, slide it down a string, then slide it up a fret, and then slide your other 2 fingers down, just like I showed you. And then strum it. Okay, that sounds right. And then go in reverse. So move your 2 fingers back up 1 string, then move your ring finger, back down a fret, and then up a string. And just do that extremely slowly. Take 10, 20, 30 seconds if you need to place your fingers, and then place your fingers correctly for the next chord. But if the more time you can invest in doing it extremely accurately at a very slow pace, the faster you're going to get to where you can do it fluently without thinking. So slow, smooth is fast. Remember. So to get you started in learning this song, what I would suggest for you, to give you a couple exercises, actionable exercises that you can do that's going to help you play it on your own, is just from A minor to D minor. I would set a metronome too. Download a metronome app, or I told you there's a free one, freemetronome.org or .com or something. They're all over the internet. Set it for like 50 beats per second, or for 100 beats per second. So 50 beats per second would be like, 100 beats per second would be twice that, but it would provide the subdivision of the beat for you. So this is your beat, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and set that metronome at 100 because it's kind of easier for you to anticipate when to start playing again. If it's only set at 50, then you're kind of waiting for it and you never know when it's going to come. And so set it up at 100 and just be like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, and just repeat that, you know, for 10 minutes or 20 minutes, or maybe like sit and do some math, you know, play it like 20 times and time yourself, and then do the math of how long you'd have to play it to get like 200 repetitions in, okay? And then I promise you, if you repeat this 1,000 times, you're going to have it down in your sleep. But you have to do it accurately every single time. Once you learn that chord progression, then you can move on to, so you got your left hand part down, you can move on to learning the right hand part. It starts out with a pickup note. 1, 2, 3, 4. A pickup note is when you have 4 beats per measure. 1 and a 2 A, 1 and a 2 E and a 3 and a 4 E and a 1. The pickup note is a note that picks up before the beginning of the measure. So this is called a pickup note. 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay? So to play the right hand part, you have the pickup note and then the chord that you're plucking. You start out, you pluck the 5th string, then you skip the 4th string, and you go up to the 3rd string. And up and back down. 1 and 2 and then you hit the 4th string, so it's 1 and 2 and you let go up here because you start playing this is the D chord, so it goes 1 and 2 E. Whoops. 1 and 2 E. It's sounding all weird because I'm trying to mute it with my finger, but I'm also fretting it at the same time. 1 and 2 E and 1, or 1 and a 2 E and a 3 and a 4 E and a 1, 1. Oh, wrong fingering up here. 1 and 2 E and 3, and then you fret your D chord and 4 E and So to repeat this process, what you're going to do is learn the A chord to D chord, A minor to D minor. Once you have that down, then you learn the right hand part. 1 and 2 E and 3 and 4 E and if you can get that far, then I'll teach you the next part. The G chord. And then the C chord. But I want you to take this in manageable chunks. So your first goal with this is going to be just to learn A minor to D minor. A minor, D minor, okay? Learn that. That's going to get you started, and the quicker you master just that left hand fretwork, the faster you can move on to adding the right hand and then putting it all together. Good luck. Have fun.